Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe and this is Big Joe Trucking. So, I've been asked by a number of friends and family if whether or not I can do a video on how to become a trucker and the steps involved. That's not a problem. I would gladly do that for you. So, let's get on with it. Now, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, why do you want to be a trucker? Why do you want to work for, why do you want to work in a HGV? What sort of job do you want to do? Is it the sort of lifestyle you want to go into? There are many different things that can factor in as to why you're doing this job or why you want to do this job. And it's quite easy to get bogged down with like all the different vehicles and all the different, like, you know, basically everything that goes into this sort of job. Now, the first thing you need to consider is obviously the reasons as to why. I don't know what this guy's doing. He's just driving in a massive circle. Oh dear. Anyway, so you need to consider why you want to be a trucker. There is an element that this is a lifestyle. It's not just a, you know, a short-term fix. Especially if you go on to become a tramper and stuff, it will be a life. It is a way of life. There are other roles. You could be a day worker, you could be a night worker. Day workers tend to start work anywhere between 4 AM and 7 AM and are normally finished around the same sort of time in the PM. And night workers, they obviously start within the PM, like 4 to 7, and finish about 4 to 7 in the morning, you know, in the AM. So, whereas a tramper is quite often out, on average, Monday to Friday, 4 nights a week. In many cases, not always like 4 nights, but they stay in the truck full time. Like this, you know, there's a bed here, but this becomes your living room. It becomes your bedroom. It becomes, you know, in some cases your bathroom, your kitchen. I mean, is a lifestyle. So I don't know why it's called tramping. I'm gonna assume because you're living like a tramp, if that is a thing. I don't know. If somebody would kindly tell me instead of having to Google it, that would be fun. So anyway, once you decided the reasons why, the next question is, what are you expecting to earn? Because everybody always wants to know the answer to that question before they apply for any job. This is where it's going to start a topic of debate, I guess. Some drivers on one hand are going to say the money is dog shit. And then there's others in the other that are going to say, yeah, the money's sound or the money's great. I personally find myself sat in the middle, like probably many people, where the money is far better than what I was on my past job. So my past job, my wages today compared to that job is up by about 35 to 40%. However, on the flip side, the money could be better just because of certain elements, you know, that you have to deal with or consider. And also the level of risk. And that is why I think the money should be better. Because you're on the road all the time. And a lot of the time car drivers tend to be, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to find that a lot of car drivers seem to be getting worse. Not new drivers, but people that are overconfident. And they tend to be driving around like idiots and causing accidents or not understanding how to maintain their vehicle, which causes a problem for us. And also, not just a problem, but can end up being our demise. So, yeah. Anyway, with risk comes money. That's why the money is a little bit better, I think. But, sorry. is a blue collar job. By blue collar, like, you know, it's a working man's job. Yeah, I mean, it is a shame that the money is a lot better for doing what I'm doing than what my past job was. But A, I ain't complaining, and B, I understand why. And C, I still think you should still be paid a bit more than what you do. But anyway, that's enough about that. So that's enough on the money. Let's move on. Right, so you need to get yourself down to the post office, or you can, I think you can do it on the DVLA website now, or .gov, whatever they want to call it. You need to complete a D2 and D4 form. The D2 form needs to be completed by you. You are responsible to complete that form. That is you applying to have the provisional entitlement on your driving license. Now, you won't see anything physical on your card. Well, I didn't anyway. But if you log in online, you can see the provisional entitlement once it's been processed. The D4 form needs to be completed by a medical professional. That's normally someone that holds a registration. So your doctor or GP, whatever you want to call him, or her, or them, or they, or whatever, they can complete the form, but it's going to cost you a bit. Or you can log in online onto Google and find driving medical assessments or driver medical assessments. I'll pop the link in my description on a website that many people have used. It's not sponsored or anything of the sort. I'm just doing it, putting it there for you to find a quick reference. That is it. It normally costs anywhere between like 50 to 70 quid to get it done. So, but what they'll do your blood pressure, they'll go over pre-existing medical conditions, the eyesight test and all this sort of stuff, height, weight, etc. They're not looking to see if whether you're, you know, overweight or whether, or any of this sort of stuff. They're just looking to see if whether or not you are fit to the DVLA standard. Now, it is important to look after number one. I neglected my health a while ago. Not only did I neglect my health, but I then ended up neglecting my mental health, which then completely bloody crushed everything beyond what needed to happen. But as you do, you got to fight on. I've been surrounded by loving friends and family that have been really supportive, and now I'm having to pay off the problem. So that's why it's important. Go to the gym, eat well, sleep well, and do what you got to do to try and get yourself into the best physical state you can. The reason why I'm saying that is because I am not a good representation of a healthy trucker. I basically become a trucker when I was unhealthy. However, I'm doing the opposite. So I know many people have known truckers to be unhealthy. I'm doing the opposite. I started unhealthy and I'm becoming healthy. So yeah, nothing else I can add to that. There are a lot of truckers that I see that are healthy, and fair play to you, because you are an inspiration. It's so easy to fall into the trap of the burger van and all this sort of stuff, but we get fridges. We also get microwaves, which I don't have. I'm just tapping it because it should be there and it's not. I'm due to get a new truck, I think, soon, and it will have a microwave in it, so I'm getting a little bit excited. I got a little meal thing. I'll probably do a video on it, so it gives you something else to talk about. But anyway, moving on. Now you've sent off your provisional entitlement, you're on the road to being able to start your theory. Check to make sure you've got that entitlement, and then book your theory. Don't wait to do your theory study. Get online, book your theory. Ideally, give it at least a good 2 weeks before you book anything. Now, I don't know you, I don't know how well you study. I don't know what you think. I don't know any of these things. But if you know you can study and do well within 2 weeks, good. Invest the time, book your theory. Well, actually, it's not just your theory you need to book. So let's rewind a little bit. As soon as you got your provisional entitlement, log into the DVLA, theory test center or whatever. Book to apply for your theory test, your hazard perception, and your case studies. So they make up part of what's called a CPC, which is a driver qualification card. Your driver qualification card is something you're going to need, but it requires parts of your theory and parts of your practical. So when it comes to booking, you need to book your theory test, which is, I think, is about £26. Your hazard perception, which is about £11. And your case studies, which is £23. I think that's current on the DVLA website. Quote me if I'm wrong, but get it all booked in and get it all booked in the same time. Try and give yourself at least a minimum of 2 weeks grace before going to do it, so that you've got time to be able to study. Do not go into it assuming that you're going to pass it. You are going to fail, and that there's no other way about it. If you pass, you fluked it, but you need to study. There is 100 questions in the hazard perception, whereas when you apply to do your car license, there's 50. Your hazard perception is, I think, is 19 clips. Maybe I'm wrong. But they're video clips. They're like scenario, situational questions or things. Yeah, it's like watching me drive around as such, and then you click when you see the hazards pop up. But then again, you should know that if you got a car license. So, and then you got your case studies. They're like scenario based questions. So, did Fred do a light check in the morning? He noticed that driver light was out. Should he change the bulb, or should he risk it for a biscuit? Some of them are obviously self-explanatory, but you need to understand the terminology, and you need to make sure you pass it as with the best marks you can. Don't just try and get through it. Pass it. Now, what I'm going to do, again, not sponsored in any way, shape or form, is only because it helped me pass my HGV theory, my motorbike theory, which I'm still yet to do my practical, and it helped my missus pass her car theory. So that's why I just feel like I need to share it with you, because it's a really good tool to have. And that is driving test success, or anytime success, or something like that. Check the link or the description. It'll be in there. It's really good. I think it's only like £10 a month or something silly. You're only going to need it for a month, unless obviously you need a bit more time. But they got all the mock questions, all the theory questions, scenarios, hazard perceptions, the lot. So, and it is probably the best value as well. Anyway, enough about that. Just, if you're going to do it, I recommend it. Simple. Now you've just done your theory. Where are we? Pass, fail, good, bad, who knows? But you need to be able to pass to be able to continue to the next part. So if you haven't passed, go back and do it again. Congratulations, you passed your theory. Now you need to find yourself a reputable school, driving school. There are thousands out there, thousands you'll use and see. You need to let them know which license you're applying for, whether it's your class 1 or your class 2. Your class 1 is the bendy lorry, articulated like this. Your class 2 is rigid. It doesn't bend in the middle. It just, you know, it's long and doesn't bend. You need to decide on what sort of work you want to get, on why you want to do it. Class 2 tends to be a majority of day work. Majority being the key word. Whereas Class 1, there is a majority that is tramping. So I'm lucky. I'm working Class 1. I'm working containers, as you know. Or I'd like to think you know. If not, check out my videos, you'll see. But I'm working with containers, and I'm a day worker. I don't, you know, I'm normally back in time for tea. And I've never had to stay out yet. However, if I do, I do. I'm not bothered. I do have all my kit ready. This is my assigned truck. I don't own it. However, it's mine. I spend more time in here than I do my own home. I also spend more time on this seat than I do my sofa. So, it's mine. It's mine until they decide to take it off me, or, you know, whatever. And occasionally, if someone needs to drive it at night, or when I'm off, obviously the wheels need to turn to earn. But ultimately, all I ask when anyone drives the vehicle that is mine, to just respect it. Because, you know, it's essentially, this is our office and we spend more time in them than the next person. And that is key advice when you eventually pass and you go on to work as an agency driver, which you more than likely will, as I'll explain. Respect is the biggest thing that will make you or break you in this industry. If you're gonna go somewhere and work, especially if it's somewhere you want to work, and you get took on as an agency driver to do a temporary to perm position, they will think twice if you cannot respect somebody else's vehicle. Whether you like the person or not, it doesn't matter. There's always gonna be times where you're friendly with people, you're not. But you need to respect the other drivers, and the fact that although they don't not necessarily own the vehicle, it is their vehicle, as in they're working in it day in day out. It's the same as any other job, really. Like, if you're working in an office, that's your desk. That's your space. Like, you know. So anyway, decide if you're going on to Class 1 or Class 2. Just think about the schools you're applying to. When it comes to costing, Class 2, I believe, is anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000. That's to do the practical test and CPC. And I think for a Class 1 is anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000. Maybe a bit more. But that's to do your practice or practical, the test, and also include the CPC. So just make sure you got the funds available. There are options. You know, there's plenty of options to be able to get it paid for as well, or funded or assisted. Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to recommend a company. This isn't, again, sponsored. This isn't also something that they're even aware that I've done. So I'm only doing it because I respect them, and they gain my respect, you know, from teaching me. They went above and beyond to make sure they helped me where they could, and ultimately they were great. And that is Tyler Training, based in Worcester, or just outside of Worcester, between like Worcester, Gloucester way. I really, really recommend that company. If you're going to learn to be a HGV driver, apply. The link's in description. If you do go, or if you do apply, I don't know if they'll remember me or not, but just let them know that Big Joe has recommended them or recommended you to their company, and hopefully they might reach out and say hello. Now you've selected your driving school, you're going to go off and do your practical. You're going to learn all these things. There's one thing you're gonna be like, oh, reversing, the biggest thing we do, and one of the biggest skills we need to know, and we don't do enough of it. Now that's not down to the training school or anyone like that. It is purely down to the curriculum, which needs to be changed. So, you know, if anyone from the DVLA or DVSA is watching, please start getting drivers to learn how to reverse into a bay. Now, the reversing part of this test, or, you know, your training, has you drive in a straight line, or kink the trailer, reverse it around so you can park into a bay just down here. Unless you're going to drive through the damn warehouse and then do that, you very rarely ever use that skill. Like, I think, I don't really remember a time I used it, apart from, you know, maybe you got to shuffle over a little bit. But when it comes to bay parking, as in reverse, you're like, what you'd have to do if you're coming to an RDC, like a distribution center and stuff, you have to come in from a straight angle, but the bay is like here, so you got to get the trailer in there. So you got to come in and then shimmy it in. I can't really do it with my hands and stuff, but it's very narrow. Like, there's normally trailer to trailer. There's about that much space either side, and you got to get it in on day one. So you pass your license, you're out with an agency the following day, and that is your first job. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. So practice where you can. If you can pay for the additional reverse training, because obviously some companies do provide it, take it up immediately, because there's nothing worse than being stuck at an RDC. You got all these other drivers watching you, and all these warehouse staff watching you, and you don't know how to reverse. Well, now that you're doing your practical, it's the time to order your taco card. Hurrah! Time to order that. So, taco card. You need to pop onto the government website. Just type in Google taco card, and you'll easily find it. It's on there. I think it's about £32, but it will save waiting around for it, because it can take a couple of weeks. But yeah, get on there, order your taco card. Taco card's important, and is extremely important, because you cannot work without it. It tracks your working time, your driving time, your rest periods, periods of availability, well, everything and anything. Every time you start the vehicle, stop the vehicle, when you do your vehicle checks, you cannot work without your taco. So get it ordered. It's a green card, a little green card. It looks like a driving license, and it'll look like a CPC card, but it's green. CPC's blue, and the driving license obviously is pink. But yeah, pop on, get it ordered. I'll be back. Well, we are back on the road. I'm sorry I had to cut the video off, because there was a lot going on in a very short period of time that was out of my control. It's to do with the powers that be. But we are back on the road, and we've got to head back to port or the yard, or one of the two. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about. So initially I was talking about the reversing maneuvers and stuff, and how crucial it is to make sure you are putting the time in to learning how to do those maneuvers, especially reversing, because when all eyes are peeled and they're looking at you, I can tell you now, like, you want the ground to swallow you up. So, but once you get through the rigmarole of learning, you're going to experience so many different things on learning how to drive. But if you have played Euro Truck Simulator 2, it is not the same. I love that game. I have the game and I play the game. And if you want to play a game, just drop me a message and I'll happily join you and we'll have a laugh on a convoy or something. But do not expect that game to give you the expectation of the reality of driving a truck, because you don't have to deal with the loads, you don't have to deal with weight management, you don't have to deal with shifting. There's so much to consider, but the game is good fun, and that's what it should be. We come to the final step of your journey, where you are about to become the truck it man or woman, and you're about to embark on your journey. You have to pass your test. If you pass your test, congratulations. You deserve to go home, drink beer, douse yourself in wine and celebrate, because it's not an easy test, it's not an easy road. So yeah, celebrate. If you failed, pick it up, suck it up and get on with it. It's going to cost you. It is going to cost you, because you can't really afford to fail realistically. But if you do, it is going to cost you a lot, as in I'm talking a good 700-800 or more. So, and that's not just the cost of the test or rebook test, but it's the cost of having to rehire the vehicle and all this stuff. And yeah, just don't get caught up in it. Just focus and listen to what your instructors tell you, because they're not saying it for their sake, they're saying it for yours. Now you've passed your test, you got your license, you are a freshly qualified HGV driver, about to embark on the world and put miles under your belt and all this other stuff. Now the hard work actually starts, and that is getting employed. Because now you've gone through all that, guess what? You need to have 2 years experience. That's right, you're not now getting employed. I thought I'd save that till later on the video though. But no, it's not true. You can get employment. Ignore people when they say, oh, you need to get experience, because guess what? How do you get experience? Well, by doing the damn job. So everyone who's like, oh, you need to get experience, oh, you need to get experience. Okay. The quickest answer to that is ignore them. And I would also try and avoid too much disappointment in this, like not in yourself, but in the situation. Don't go applying to like small family firms or all the Gucci stuff, because I can tell you now, you're not going to get it. You are going to get told the answer is no. But set yourself up with a reputable, and that's a key word in this, reputable agency. An agency that isn't going to mess you about with your wages or mess you about on dates that you're going in to look at sites or an interview or anything like that, unlike some of them. One of the companies asked me to come in for an interview and sent me an email, sent me confirmation and everything. So I turned up half hour before the time they gave me, checked in with security, etc, etc, and then security introduced me to the lady who was running the group thing. And when you're stood there and you're thinking, this doesn't look like it belongs in my life, as in I don't fit this crowd of people. This crowd of people do not look like drivers. I'm not saying drivers are all big chunky men or whatever, but I can't really find any other way to describe it. It looked like I was visiting school, like loads of teens that have just come out of school. Anyway, so I asked the lady, after about 10 minutes of being shown like different bits of the warehouse and staff room, is this for the HGV? And she was like, no. I was like, alright, well, this is what I was told by this agency and by this lady. I was like, oh, well, you couldn't have. I was like, why not? Well, because that lady's me. I was like, well, here's you telling me to come in today for this time. I was like, oh, I didn't send that. Right. Who the f did? So yeah, what I'm trying to say is ignore, try and avoid a load of crappy companies, because there are a lot. There's a lot of crappy agencies. But, if you're from my area, around Bristol, you know, land of the farmer or land of the pirate, whatever you want to call it, which probably explains my accent. Or Combine Harvester, there you go, it's right there. There's a company called Hire Giant, and there's two gents that operate that company, or their chair it, or management, or whatever, and that's Lee and Dan. And I could not rate them enough as an agency. They go above and beyond to make sure that, like, I was obviously working, that I was happy where I was, that the customer was happy, that I was paid on time, that any discrepancies was dealt with. I could not ask for anything more out of a company than what they provided as an agency. And they also provided me with a chance to gain experience. So yes, again, I'm going to add them in the link below, or in my description. They probably don't know that I've done this, and it's not sponsored by any way, shape or form. But I'm doing it out of courtesy and respect, because I could not thank them enough for the work that they did for me to get me into work. So, well done. As for your employment journey, embrace everything you get the chance to do. Experience pallets and curtain siders. Experience tippers. Experience containers. Flatbeds, low loaders, so whatever you can do, whatever you can get your hands on, and, you know, feet behind the wheel and all that other stuff, do it, because you will not know what sort of work you want to do. And also, even if you think it's the sort of work you want to do, you might do it and think, actually, this is a load of tosh. So, because here's an example. I went and did some work on curtain siders. I thought it wouldn't have been a bad job to do. Well, actually, I bloody despised it. It was awful. I got whacked in the head by a pole because the curtain decided to catch a gust. I sat in an RDC car, well, not an RDC, in a pallet place for about 5 hours before I got called forward. I finished late every day. The office at the time got really funny with me because I stopped to use the toilet. It was just a load of crap, like absolute crap. Like, my experience was tarnished by that. However, it's not for everyone, and it might have been just that experience. So, of course, I'm one of those. I'd always give something at least a second chance to make sure if whether or not it is going to be, you know, real. And I can tell you now, there is not a chance in hell I want to go back on pallets. I did flatbed work. I really enjoyed that. Like, flatbed work is fine. It's not a problem. It's ratchet straps. You just got to know what you're doing with the straps. But they teach you that in your practical. As for experience and other things, I've done, you know, like refrigeration units. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. It was, you know, it's loud. You don't tend to have like the same vehicle all the time. I might be wrong. But I did it with a very large company, and yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea, really. That's all. Like, I can't really say I'm I'm pressed to want to go back. But as for the containers, I love this job. Absolutely love it. Like box on, box off, click on, click off. Like it's like I'm living the reality of Lego. You know, click on, click off, load up, gone, load in, gone. It's just great. Oh dear, oh dear. No, nothing to worry about. Just everything's very narrow around here. Anyway, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoy containers, and that's why I would recommend just making sure you embrace the experience. I've done a bit of class 2 work. I could not stand it, never want to do it again, don't ever think I will consider it again, and that's my view on it. But once you got those, once you then begin your journey, like my dad and my mum have all said to me growing up, which is, you know, is part of the reason why I got this tattoo. It's not finished yet, but the world is your oyster. I mean, I got a Grim Reaper holding the world, but there's a reason for that, which I won't go into yet. But the world's your oyster, and whatever you choose to do, be the best you can be at it. Put in the time. Like, really embrace learning what it takes to be a trucker and what it takes to drive these things. I'm not going to blow smoke up the ass of the industry, because of course it has its downfalls as well. But you will, personally, if you like to get out and about, you want to make decent money, but haven't been to uni, and even if you have been to uni, want to make more money than some of these uni people, and you want the sense of freedom, you like, motors and stuff like that, become a trucker, because it's the best decision I've ever made, and that's my opinion on it. Anyway, this video is done. I hope I've kind of given insight to, the steps to become a trucker. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? I'm not gonna like try and butter it up and go into the nitty gritties of it, but it's just straightforward. It's a straightforward video about how to be a trucker. But I'm gonna leave you to it. I'm gonna continue to hit the road, and we will be back soon. Take care of yourselves. Peace.